There are many companies today that are working on producing our meat without livestock, but it is meat. So here's the concept. You take a syringe, you stick the hog, you grab stem cells, you squirt it in a petri dish, you cook it. Stem cells replicate to grow more stems. Cells grow more cells. You can now, in theory, you can now grow meat in a petri dish that came from livestock, that you no longer ever need livestock to produce meat. Their claims, the companies that are working on growing meat without livestock, and remember it started alive, their claims are this: we will use 99% less land, 96% less water, 80% fewer greenhouse gas emissions, and the meat you eat from our petri dish is 100% as nutritional as what came from the farm. What are your thoughts on that, real quick? Like the idea? Gross. Gross? Guess what? 1% of the population feeds 100% of the population. 1% of the farmers feed 100%. And guess what? We in agriculture, we in rural America understand the value our ag industry brings. We're not our customers. Our customers are in New York City, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Chicago. They have never stepped foot on a farm. They see a TV picture of cows. Oh no, they're going to be slaughtered. I can't eat killed livestock. There's a big movement going on, and the claim is we take care of the ESG issue by growing meat in a lab. This is it. Here's Porky. Stab them, stem cells, throw it in a petri dish. You put it in a bioreactor. Cliff Notes is you add amino acids, you add sugars, you ferment it. The stem cells grow to more stem cells. Now here's the deal. It doesn't grow in the shape of the hog. It grows in a flat plate, if you will. And then you have to take that plate and shape it into a shape, mold it into a shape, 3D print it into the shape you want. Roughly a 3-week growing period formed into the shape, chicken nuggets, whatever it is, okay? Why do we care about lab-raised meat? Let me ask you right now, early in this presentation, raise your hand if you think lab-raised meat could be a threat to our ag industry long term. Oh, okay. This is a very different reaction. There are many presentations I do. They don't see it as a threat. And you know who's one of them? Many of the cattle feeder associations dismiss this as a threat. They dismiss it and say this is a fad. This will not happen. My analogy back to them has been, have you heard of the dairy industry, and have you heard that you can milk an almond? Have to milk an almond, right? You have to, because it's almond milk. Should be almond juice. I'm going to bring someone up here. Alan's going to come up, and we're going to talk about initial impressions on here. One of the challenges on this almond milk is we got out-marketed in our ag industry. And you know what the dairy industry has said? Don't worry about it. We have attorneys suing the almond industry to relabel the name from almond milk to almond whatever, juice. 20 years. Guys, it's gone. That ship sailed. We have an opportunity right now today in this lab-raised meat. Let's corner it and let's call it what we believe it should be labeled. That's my ask. Okay? So why we care? Here we go. Lab-grown meat. You can't just take stem cells, put it in a petri dish, and it grows. That doesn't work. What you have to do, they use technology like CRISPR, which they take, these are genes within the cell, they edit add, remove genes within the cell. CRISPR stands for clustered regular interspaced sort palindromic repeats. All they're doing is taking science, technology, and editing the genes on there. Lab-raised meat. There is no immune system. Livestock has an immune system. One of the challenges of growing meat in a petri dish is it's in a pure environment. You don't have to worry about things going bad. The flip side is there is no immune system. It could easily go bad if they don't monitor it. Okay? Chemicals. Companies growing lab-raised meat today that have patents have to disclose everything they put in, amino acids, sugars, other additives, quote, other additives. They have to disclose that. Companies that don't have a patent on how they grow lab-raised meat don't have to explain what they put in the lab-raised meat. So far, so good? Getting hungry? Have you heard of the term immortalized cells? Has anybody heard of immortalized cells? Okay, let me share this. About a year ago, there was a lot of talk about lab-raised meat is taking cells, stem cells, and you know what happens when our body gets cancer? Cancer cells explode and grow very rapidly. The claim a year ago was they're taking cancer cells, scraping the bad of the cancer off of that cell, and using the explosive quality of that cell to grow this lab-raised meat quicker. There's a problem today. They cannot grow lab-raised meat in a petri dish as fast as you can grow it on the farm. Okay? It uses higher energy than what we produce on the farm. It has more emissions than what we do on the farm. It uses more water than what we do on the farm. Lab-raised meat, remember this, lab-raised meat, this is day one of a science experiment. How often does day one of a science experiment succeed? Look at your cell phones. It took us decades to get the computer in our pocket or on our wrist. This is day one of the science experiment. Immortalized cells, this is the key. They take immortalized cells that grow forever. You have one cell and it continues to reproduce. You don't have to get more stem cells from the hog ever again. From the beef, from the chicken, from the salmon, from the duck, from the shrimp. You just take one time, pull, drop it in a petri dish, and it grows forever. Immortalized cells. Look at this. All cancers contain immortalized cells. All cancers are immortalized cells, but not all immortalized cells contain cancer. That's a pretty fine line for me to go and start eating some of that, okay? When we start putting words on a page, that gets dangerous, especially when you take the production of our food source out of the most trusted group of people in our society, farmers, ranchers, okay? Lab-grown meat, they can't scale it. Here's a stat. You can take a hog confinement, 3.5 million pounds of pork per year in a 70,000 square foot unit. That same lab-raised meat can only produce 50,000 pounds of pork in a lab-raised in that same 70,000 square foot unit. They can't get it to grow quick enough, hence they're looking at immortalized cells to see if they can grow and scale it quick enough. They're editing gene codes in these cells to see if they can get it to grow quicker for us. The footprint is heavy. It's higher than conventional meat, global warming, carbon dioxide, 25 times higher, says one source. Okay? It's not to where it needs to be to win their argument. My vote is we call it Petri dish meat and try and sell that to consumers. Not sure if anyone will buy that, but hey, they said we are going to put appropriate labeling on. Isn't that good? We have proactivity here. Italy completely banned research, growth, development of lab-raised meat in Italy. You know, one of the things they said, the reason we're banning it is we don't know the long-term effects, but number two, it goes against our heritage of farming. Yay. So we have advocates. The cattle feeder associations are not worried. But yet, There are some of the cattle feeder associations that are actively promoting education and appropriate labeling on this. We're in the wild, wild west right now of what is our message to consumers, okay? Their value prop, you gotta remember, proponents of lab-raised meat have a very clean and crisp value prop. We help the environment. We use minimal water. We don't pen animals. By the way, you know what they want to do with hogs, right? They want you to open the gates and let the hogs run free. I call that feral hogs. That don't work out very well. They have no slaughter of animals. That's a big deal when you get outside of knowledge of ag. You don't have to worry about supply chain, price gouging. Those 4 bullet points are what they sell their concept on. Why we are doing this is because we help with this, ... The message: cruelty, slaughter-free, free from antibiotics, no preservatives, made with non-GMO animals, and we are better for the environment. That's a campaign that is going to consumers on why lab-raised meat is better. What's our message? Do you raise your hand if you had a group of lab-raised meat proponents? Would you raise your hand and share with the group what you would say to them that is our value prop that can beat those 4 bullet points? These 4? What would we say? That's a tough one, isn't it? Because it's got to be emotional. And it has to resonate with someone that never stepped foot on our farm. How can we help producers? Producers are shocked. When I go through this, they're shocked. A little nervous, but you know producers, very resilient, right? Our ag industry will figure this out, I promise, in my opinion. How can we help? This is what I call my 5x7 plan. I think you all have these in your brochures, but I just want to give you a concept here. What I do when I go with producers at a meeting, I literally have the old 5x7 note cards. Do you know what I mean? Like the big recipe cards. I hand 3 of them out per attendee.